Hi, this is part two of the assembly for the 250 size quad. So first of all, this frame, just a little hint for the assembly of this frame. It's basically pretty straightforward, but you have to be careful because this frame here basically has a double plate, as you see here. And when you're assembling it, you have to make sure the spacers that you put here are at the bottom before mounting the arms, because you want to conceal. In my case, I want to conceal the ESCs at the bottom of the frame right here. And before mounting this top plate, you have to install these vertical pieces here. So make sure to screw them in before installing the top plate, because as I did, I had to disassemble it one time at least so I can get the screws in and put the pieces in properly. Since this frame didn't come with instructions, I kind of had to guess where all the screws went. So it was pretty straightforward. And the neat thing about this frame is basically it's a very, cheap frame, but it's very sturdy. And it doesn't have a power distribution board, which means that I have to make the cables to connect all the ESCs and other components. So basically, what is advantageous to having this kind of frame is that if it does break, well, it's you could just probably buy another frame and replace the parts, have a frame as a backup. What's neat about this also is that it came with a camera, an FPV camera plate here, which I mounted my little camera that I showed you in my FPV tutorial for beginners. And what I did is I just basically put some foam that I got from just basically piping foam, and cut it here with some double-sided tape so I can make basically a kind of a shock absorber here for the vibration. So I think it should work pretty well, and it'll basically sit into the frame here in the front. So what I wanted to do also is I wanted to get, I don't know if you could see it on the side, I wanted to get the camera away from the edge of the copter, because in case of crash, this camera is not going to be hitting the ground, and it's going to be protected basically, and it's behind this way here. So that's one thing. And the neat thing about this cable tray is that basically I'm going to be putting my power cable from this camera inside here. I'm going to be passing it to the back here. So this goes on like this. And what you have to do also is you have to basically think of where you want your components to sit on your quad. And in my case, I'm going to be putting this receiver here in the front behind the camera area right here. And I have double-sided tape, so I can just basically stick it here. And I'll also be putting a little tie wrap just to make sure it doesn't come off. After that, I'm going to have my CC3D installed right behind it over here. And you have to make sure you keep the arrow in this direction for the front of the quad. So my CC3D is going to be here. And what I did is I mounted it on a piece of foam, and sticky back tape as well, so that it kind of absorbs some shock from the vibrations of the quad. So I have it somewhere here. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be also mounting my FPV transmitter like so over here. And I have some sticky back, but I'll also be mounting it with a tie wrap also. So I'm going to be mounting it over here like this. I don't know if you could see it here. So the camera is going to go over here. My receiver in the back, the CC3D here. My transmitter like so. And also, basically this came with the top plate here. So it's going to be sitting somewhere like this. Like so. And I'm going to be having my battery sit on top of this frame over here like this. And the neat thing about this also, it came with like an anti-vibration plate for another camera, which I'm going to be using the Mobius to record in HD here. So I'm going to be using my little $15 camera for the FPV and my Mobius mounted on top on a vibration plate as well. So the battery is going to be sitting here like this inside the Velcro straps. It'll basically look like this. And so now I just want to show you what I did to kind of install these ESCs. What I did is I put electrical tape on my ESCs because they were orange and I just wanted everything to look nice and black. So what I did is I put my ESCs over here and I passed through the power wires in this tray, as you can see here. So my ESCs, my motors are connected to my ESCs here, and I basically tie wrapped this here. And what I did also is I went ahead and I soldered the LED wires, the LEDs which came like this. So I soldered some wires which have a JST connector in the back. So what I did is I passed this also, I just clipped it in with the tie wrap, and I brought the cable here, I don't know if you could see it, I brought the cable inside the cable tray here, and it came out all the way here. So what I can do now is basically have to get this type of a cable which has a balance port plug, which I could put here like this from the battery, and it basically splits into 4. So I have one for each LED, and I have one to power also my transmitter for the FPV. So what's going to happen is basically I'm going to be passing this cable inside this cable tray, and I'm going to be connecting all the LEDs. I'm just going to demonstrate here. Basically like this. So I have my green LEDs in the front, and I'm going to have also another color in the back. I'm going to have red in the back here. Like so. So now I'm gonna show you. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to tell you also, that I basically soldered on this connection because what I want to do also is I want to monitor my battery at all times during flight. So I put this lead here, and this is basically gonna monitor my cells on my battery. So 3 cells, and it's giving me number 2 4 volt, number 3 4 volt. So all is 12 volt. Basically this is pretty charged. So I'm gonna have this mounted on, and it basically beeps when the voltage is very low. And I basically discovered that anything above a 3-cell battery is not gonna do it for the LEDs, because LEDs function between 5 volt and 12 volt, and it's basically you need a voltage reducer if you want to use like a 4-cell battery. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you that I basically tested all these motors with the ESCs, and we're going to go ahead and show you how to test these. So I'm going to take, let's say we're going to test this motor here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lead coming from the ESC down below, and I'm going to plug it into the throttle here. Like so. I'm going to open my transmitter here, radio transmitter. I don't know if you can see it. And what I did is I created this little EC3 with bullet connectors on the bottom here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these wires, if I can get to them, that are coming from the EC3 down below, the same ESC down below. And what I'll do is I'll basically plug in the leads like this. And then I'll plug in my battery. Okay, so now I know that noise is coming actually from the motor, not from the ESC. So what's going to happen now is that basically when this is plugged on my throttle. So when I increase my throttle, the engine should work. And what I want to do here is I want to test the rotation of the motor. And in the case of a quad, you want the motors, or you want the blades to be turning towards the inside of the frame. So this one here is going to be turning counterclockwise. This one here has to turn clockwise, and so on and so forth here. So just a real quick test is basically you put on the blade just loose fit, and you just want to see the rotation side. So this one here is turning in the correct side. So I basically did all of them already, and I know that they work properly and they're turning in the same direction that I want. So basically that's how I'm gonna set up my quad, and the next step would be to basically program this CC3D once everything's set up so I can get to fly this thing. Thanks for watching, guys.